Hello, how's everyone tonight?
Pretty good. Yeah, the sun is like just setting, so I feel like I'm getting like blown out with sun, but I'm also like I'm gonna absorb every last bit of sunshine I can. So,
Yeah, you're gonna have, what, tomorrow it's supposed to be a lot of rain, which is nice.
I mean, both are good, but I just don't want to miss out on the sun while I can.
Oh, yes,
Rain
of
is so
course.
much. Rain is so much better. Rain and cloud just helps make the tundra even get colder.
Well, it's supposed to snow up in the mountains this weekend, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
sure
I think
is, yeah.
so.
Mm-hmm.
So, Debbie, are you on the line?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
So we're just waiting
Can you hear
on.
me?
Yep, we're just waiting on the other three parks commissioners.
Do you guys are you guys on the screen?
Yeah.
Because I just have some freaking bird looking at me out on a limb.
Bird?
Yes.
That's the test screen.
Oh,
We must not have enough bandwidth for all of us, I think, is likely.
no, I couldn't get it open in the regular, so I think I went to test. I didn't know that's what a test looked like.
Yes,
There's
the test
a
is a little
bird.
bird. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say I'm a test bird or anything.
It
Okay.
doesn't. That's true. He's naughty. Mm-hmm.
I guess that's why I don't see you guys. Okay, let me try again here.
Anybody a Mariner fan?
I've been
Disappointed?
watching. It's been getting kind of exciting. They blew it last night. They were so close, but they marinered it and blew it. Hope we'll see what
Yeah,
happens over the next couple weeks.
they Marinered again today, so.
Oh, they blew it again today.
Yeah, extra innings, gave up like 6 runs in the 10th, and then, yeah.
So has anybody heard from Pablo or Carrie or Ryan?
Oh, I called them all.
We'll give them a few more minutes.
Who's muted down below? Got the
I think we have
6-3.
some members of. I think we have some members of the public with us, Debbie.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Debbie, do you want to do me a quick favor and see if you can get a hold of the parks commissioners? Give them a call real quick.
Okay.
I'd appreciate it.
Do you want me to try to email while Debbie calls?
I just shot an email.
Oh, did
Uh,
you? Okay, great.
Tyler, are you a big Seahawks fan?
Yeah. The win Sunday was nice.
Yeah, my wife and I were talking. It's probably the most complete game we've seen in years, where not only were they working offense and defense, but it was balanced between run and pass. So
Oh,
it was
dude.
nice. It was nice to see them kind of balanced in all aspects.
And salt the game away with a score in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Instead of running like 6 runs in a row, bleeding a minute off the clock, and the other team gets the ball and scores. I hated
I did.
watching that.
I did kind of feel sorry for Tyler over Carson Wentz toward the end of the game.
Oh, me too. He was getting hit hard.
The hit from Monet, man, I was like, you just saw him lay there on the ground for a few minutes afterwards.
That was exactly the play I was thinking of because just watching him jump on him, Monet was like the width of 2 Carson Wentzes.
Yeah, and he put his face mask right into his sternum, and like
Ugh.
you see him get up, and Carson's hands just go off to the side, and he's just kind of laying there. I'm like, I kind of felt bad for him on that one.
I actually thought they were gonna pull him after that because I was sure he was gonna have like a broken rib or just not wanting to play anymore.
Yeah, Carrie, you're on mute. Carrie, you're on mute. Carrie. Carrie, you're on mute.
Yeah, Jason, it looks like she's just finishing a phone call.
Yeah, I saw her phone flash up.
So they were just having a hard time getting on. So they should all be coming.
Hello? Hey.
I'm starting to
Hello?
hear people.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hit,
I can hear
hit
you,
star
Pablo.
four, yeah. Star four to unmute.
All right, hold on. I'm on
So
mute.
I heard Pablo. This is Ryan.
Ryan's on?
Yep, I'm on. Ryan's on.
All right, yeah, he was trying to call in. I was trying to call in. We're here.
And
We
Carrie's
made
here.
it. We couldn't get into our email accounts with the new change.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Since we don't come on as often as you guys do, we didn't need to know, we didn't even know that there was a change in the whole servers and, stuff. So all of a
oh, sorry.
what?
It's been a whole craziness on our end too, and yeah.
I bet. I had to call Justin. I was like, Justin, what do we do? And so he sent me an email like, oh, here's this. And so I finally figured it out and I was like, oh my gosh.
Thanks for letting me know because we got design commissioners and planning commissioners. So Deb, we may need to make the rounds on phone calls next week to get everybody to let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to call in and it's like, yeah, we have members of the public on the phone. It's like, that's me, it's me.
Oh.
Oh.
All right. Well, Chair Monroe, I will turn it over to you to call the Parks Commission meeting to order.
All right, it calls meeting to order. I don't have my email, so I don't have the copy of the agenda. So if you can guide me through that, please.
Next thing is the roll call. Roll call.
Roll call.
Debbie will take care of it.
Yeah, Debbie, please.
Chair Monroe,
Here.
Vice Chair Hubler,
Here.
Commissioner Seeberger,
Here.
Commissioner Howard,
Here.
City Staff Planning and Building Supervisor. Sorry,
Here.
Planning and Building Specialist, Jason Sullivan.
Here.
Assistant Planner, Mary Reingold.
Here.
And Debbie McDonald, Park Commission Clerk.
Next is the approval of the August 9th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Well, since I know I can't review it, I don't know if the other commissioners can review it on their emails. We table that for the next meeting.
We sure can.
All right. Well, I have a motion to table it for the next meeting.
Seconded.
Second. Aye.
All right. So we'll table it. So next on the agenda would be what would be next?
The next is old and continuing, well, public comments and concerns. Do we have anybody from the public? All right, the next would be old and continuing business item, Midtown Park naming. And I can kind of go through kind of where we're at and things have changed and answer any questions on that one, if that's okay with you, Chair.
That'd be great, please.
So after our last meeting, we did go back to the city council to kind of get them to expand who would be basically able to submit an essay regarding the naming of Midtown Park, and kind of the whole pool that we'd be drawing from. After discussing it internally with staff, the recommendation was to basically just open it up to anybody who lived in the 98391 zip code, because it was getting too hard to, once we expanded it to all students and seniors, one, we were having a hard time identifying, well, what's a senior? At what age do you become a senior? And we realized it would just be better just to open it up to any citizen in the 98391 zip code, or city residents, because there's a small part of the city that's outside the 98391. Council passed that motion unanimously, kind of tweaking that. We have prepared a draft letter that we will now be sending, unless there's any concerns, to the principals of all the schools, both public and private schools. There was a list in your packet that we've gone through and kind of identified their addresses, identifying that we have this going on and requesting them to submit their items. We had originally put November 4th, but because we've been a little bit delayed, it might get bumped out by a couple weeks just to give people some time. But we'll update you on the final timing at the October meeting. We should be able to still meet, do the announcement around Founding Day in February of 2022, but some of the dates might shift a little bit in the interim. So I can answer any questions. I mean, we're on track to get that out. We'll put something on the city's social media platform and on the city's Facebook page as well.
Can we still do an outreach to the schools?
I haven't really figured out, if we're going to be able to go and make an announcement. We are going to be doing the letter to the schools, but we haven't really been able to kind of put that piece into it yet.
Okay.
I think we did offer outreach in the letter, saying like if they wanted to connect with us that they could, and then we would, send that contact out to the commissioners.
Yeah, that'd be pretty incredible. It's something about, when you go and ask yourself, it's, you seem to get a lot more response based off of that from kind of what I've seen, rather than just a blank, page that they may or may not read. I'll at least know that the original target people, the youth that's going to take over the city, and, even the seniors or anyone else we can, at least have that face-to-face, hey, here we are asking you to, participate.
Yeah, and what I think I might do too is once we get the letter out, a couple days after we mail the letter out, just call the principals myself and just say, hey, you got this letter in the mail. Because we've expanded with so many schools, it'd be hard to kind of get to every school, and just offer that if they want us to come in for an assembly or something like that. But I'd just make that phone call. We were planning on doing a presentation at the senior center, but the senior center has once again closed their doors because of COVID-19. So I'll get it over to the senior center and see if they can get it out to their email list. But we won't be able to do that presentation just because of, now, if something changes, which it has always been doing frequently, we'll just have to adjust on the fly.
Frost. Well, thank you so much for any other questions from the prisoners?
Um, I am wondering, so as the parks commissioners, is this possible that this can come from us rather than just the city sending it out?
Yeah, we could do something. We'll have to figure out how to get park commission signatures on it, or if we want to have just Pablo sign it as the chair of the Parks Commission.
I think a show of force would work.
So it would just be coordinating getting all the signatures on it. So what we would do is probably print up the master letter, get everybody's signature on it, and then kind of cut and paste those signatures into other ones when we do the mail merge. So
Okay.
you don't have to sign every single one of them.
Yeah, I think that would be more beneficial coming from the Parks Commission. And then I know a lot of the principals, so I can personally reach out to most of the principals and
Yeah.
get in touch with them. Like going through the principal list in the packet right now, I know probably about 70% of them.
Yeah, and I know one really good, so I can reach out to her. So yeah, I think this is a park commission kind of project, so doesn't necessarily have to be staff. I just know everybody else has full-time jobs and commitments, so trying not to push everything onto the Parks Commission. But yeah, what we can do in this week is I'll get the letter finalized this week, next week, and I'll send you an email letting you know the ones here, and you'll just see to come up to the third floor pretty quickly and sign it so that we have that ready to go.
Okay.
So I think that takes good.
Ryan and Tyler, does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
And we'll just leave it at the front counter and you can just sign it as you can come. We're open 8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And there's always somebody in the office, and we'll just let them know that, you're here to sign letters, and we'll just have one copy. And then once we get your signature, we can quickly cut and paste those and do the mail merge, and Mary and I can take care of that on the back end.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys.
Ryan, does that work for you?
Is he still muted or?
No, he's not muted. He's here.
There, my phone was on mute for some reason.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, that worked for me, and happy to go out to any of the schools to help, spread the word. So.
and I'm having a hard time with Pablo in his sergeant uniform. I keep wanting to say sergeant. After 5 years in the military myself, it's hard not to do it.
Yeah.
So if I accidentally say sergeant instead of chair, I apologize. So is there anything else on this item?
no, the letter that you guys just sent us a draft of the letter, so you guys will change that so that it includes all community members within the 98391 zip code?
Yes. We'll
Okay.
change the letter. And then what we'll do is we'll still leave the kind of where it says agency contact blank, have you sign it. And then what we'll do is we'll basically scan the letter and then cut your signatures off. And then when we do the mail merge, we can apply it to all the letters simultaneously versus you having to sign 15 or 16 different letters.
Okay. And then where it says if you have any questions, will you maybe put Pablo and I or all of us or somebody in there so that we can kind of help field some of the questions if anybody even
Yeah, we can add. Does anybody else want to be on the list? I mean, I don't mind adding more people.
Definitely me.
Maybe what I'll do is instead of putting everybody's individual email address so that we all see what's going on, I'll talk with Chuck and see if we can get a Parks Commission at COBL email address that we could just put in there. And that way it will come in, and then what we can do is forward that out to everybody so they can see it.
That's a great idea, Jason.
Yeah,
Like
that'd
that
be
a
great.
lot.
'Cause
Mary's
we do that for we do that for planning and building. We have our planning building email address. We have a code enforcement email address. And I'll just ask Chuck to create one more.
I'm pretty sure I suggested that so that our seamless form would go straight in too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll get that done, and that way everybody can see those questions or information, and it'll look like it'll be more like it's coming from the Parks Commission versus just a single.
Perfect. And then 5 paragraphs. Okay. That should work. Yeah, I'm excited. I think this is going to be so much fun.
Excited. No further. Is there any further questions on this issue? All right. Hearing none. Moving on to the next agenda item.
The next agenda item is, as your role as the tree board, the update to the urban forestry web pages. We've been leading an effort to kind of update those web pages, and since the Park Commission also serves as the tree board, before those pages went live, we wanted to kind of walk you through those different pages and let you see if you have any questions or concerns. I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Planner Reinbold. She's been leading the charge on doing that research and web page updating.
Great. So I did send in your packet, you should have gotten just a little bit of a memo that had some live links to the draft pages. They are best viewed using those live links. And I know maybe everybody's having trouble getting into their emails. So feel free to send me an email if you see something in there that you want edits or you think isn't quite as accessible as it should be. Feel free after the meeting, just because you don't speak up today doesn't mean we won't change it in the future. So certainly accommodating that lack of access tonight. Right now, we've sort of developed the content into 3 main pages. The first page is what we're calling the landing page. That page gives people an introduction to just what the concept of urban forestry is and why it's important to a city. In some cases, we do receive a little bit of pushback on why the city may be regulating trees on private property. So you'll see that the language on that page is designed to sort of describe protecting trees in a teamwork approach. So one of the titles on that page even says teamwork, protecting our city. So really trying to help the community embrace the idea that we have a shared urban canopy of trees, and so we all need to share the responsibility of protecting them. The city did have that update to our urban canopy tree study, and so we're providing a link out to an image of that updated canopy analysis, which I think is really fun. And then at the bottom of that landing page, we have some frequently asked questions. Our clerk's office and Debbie, who's on the call with us, do receive a lot of those frontline kind of phone calls. So a lot of these questions are the things that people call and ask about all of the time. Maybe the thing that I like the most, because it took a lot of work, is a flow chart that helps residents know whether or not they need a permit to remove a tree. So in frequently asked questions, there is, where do I find the code regarding trees? How do I know if I need a permit? Where do I apply for a tree removal permit? How do I submit my tree hazard report? And I think that the city has a hazard tree. What do I do? And you'd be amazed how many times we get that phone call. The second web page is the Tree City USA page. The commissioners had asked us just to verify that we were still a Tree City USA city. We are, in fact. I reconfirmed that with Public Works assistant superintendents, and they said, yes, we still are for sure. Also on our Tree City page now, we've added in frequently asked questions regarding tree care. So we do have quite a few residents that will call Public Works and ask, like, I've got a sick tree, I don't know what to do, or I don't know, like, what kind of tree I should plant living in the Northwest, or where should I put the tree on my lot because I want to reduce my heating and cooling costs. All of that is addressed in these frequently asked questions. And of course, we're asking people to call before they dig. So don't just, tromp on out to your yard there and damage some kind of utility infrastructure. And then the third page that we have is a tree removal page. So almost all of the questions that we get about trees relate to tree removal. On this page, of course, we're starting by saying, hey, what we're really trying to do is increase our canopy, not decrease our canopy. Okay, now that you've read that, if you still want to take a tree out, this is what you need to do. So this provides a much larger image of our tree removal flow chart. And when persons click onto the flow chart, it opens a new page, and that flow chart itself is live and has links into our municipal code, links out to applications, links out to our permitting center, and links to contact planning staff. So clicking on Ask Planning actually brings up an email ready to go that will go straight to planning staff. So much more accessible for our residents who really need that support. And then we're saying, hey, just one more thing before you cut a tree. Here's where you're going to find our urban forestry code, and here's where you're going to find the application that you may need for tree removal or clearing land that is more than 4/10 of an acre. So that's kind of the down and dirty on our three web pages. Believe it or not, each one of these pages takes quite a bit of research in order to make sure we're answering the right questions, but also that the correct staff within the city has reviewed the answers to those questions, so everyone is on board with them. I know Jason's going to talk with you a little bit about the hazard tree forms that the city is still working on. That is something that's a little bit cumbersome for our residents right now. So I'm really excited that we're just embracing this overall accessibility for our residents and helping them really partner with us in managing of tree canopy. So I'm happy to take so many edits. I know I have one broken link on my tree flow chart. But definitely happy to take edits or feedback.
No,
Awesome.
will this help mitigate what happened yesterday?
Oh, from your lips to the universe's ears, we can only hope, yes.
Yeah, because I was out of power till like 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, so what happened there was someone took down a tree in a critical area without the permits they were supposed to get from us, causing all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Fire and power outages, that's what we're always trying to avoid.
Well, that's good. Well, I guess that shows a good example of the importance of this. So, good work there. Any questions from the commission?
No, Mary, great job explaining it. I mean, didn't know this part existed on the website.
It doesn't yet. This will be brand new. So right now, the only thing that we have is the Tree City USA. And just that top paragraph, there's just like one paragraph about trees in the city. So this is all brand new content.
Awesome. Great job on this.
As an arborist, this sounds great, because that's where I would usually go. As an arborist, this is where I usually go, and this is the information that you have there, the questions, everything like that sound just exactly what I would be looking for as an outsider of the community doing work within the city. As for the forms, are you looking to use the track qualification forms for tree risk assessment?
Yeah, I'll get into that real quick, Ryan, when we get into the hazard tree removal package, which is the next item on the agenda.
Okay. Let's see what else I had. One other thought, and I lost it.
I'll be here when you remember it.
Okay.
And if you ever see something on the webpage after this meeting, after it goes live, that, oh, I wish we would have said this, or I wish we would have added that, then, just contact us, because you are the tree board. You're supposed to be kind of providing input and guiding these things just as much as you do with kind of the parks. So we're always open to input on how those things will change over time.
Yeah. Out of all the websites I've looked at, different cities and stuff, I would say City of Olympia probably has the best one that I've seen for all their trees. So there might be a few things if you're looking to add any other information.
We did borrow a little bit from Olympia, and then also from the city of Tacoma.
Okay.
Nice.
Awesome. Any more questions? The commissioner?
Oh, I remember. Is there any penalty for those who do proceed without permits or proper risk assessment or anything like that?
I mean, you are asking the right lady. OMG. Usually we just make them do an after the fact permit. We don't try to penalize people because everybody makes mistakes. The city of Bonney Lake is generally favorable towards development. We try to be really responsive to our citizens and to provide good customer service. But from time to time, there are people who cut down trees and just go, permits are not for me and I don't care what you say. And so then enforcement for this is through our code enforcement process. In really severe circumstances or circumstances that do create a threat to our community and the environment, we can assign a civil penalty. That's $1,000 for each time we go out and inspect or witness the violation. That comes particularly in handy during times where maybe our drinking water is at risk or there's a life safety issue, because we would obviously be going out to look at that more frequently. So for instance, yesterday's fire and power outage, that resident has the opportunity to come in and get an after the fact permit. If they go like, hot dog, I don't want to get a permit, then they would move into that code enforcement phase. And so obviously going out and having to address the fire is an instance of the violation. And then every time we have to visit the site, we could add $1,000 into that civil penalty.
In addition to the code enforcement process, when they come in for their permits, it doesn't mean they get off the hook scot-free. So what would happen is they would come in, and since the trees are already gone, they would automatically trigger the replanting and replacement requirements, which are intentionally severe to discourage clear cutting of property. So we did recently have an incident where someone did get a little happy with their chainsaw before getting their clearing permits and removed a significant number of exceptional and significant trees from their property. They did get the after the fact permit, but they triggered all of those replanting requirements. And in the end, I think ended up having to plant 30 some trees on the property and then pay $9,000 into the urban forestry in lieu fee program that we will use to purchase trees to plant everywhere else in the city.
And that was that was for cutting down 11 trees. So they went down and cut 11 and they had to replace 80. So 30 or so that they planted, 40 or so that they paid the in lieu fee for.
Yeah, and that's all based on DBH and tree units, correct?
We use DBH, and then we basically use our bond quantity worksheet for what it would cost to replace a single tree. And there's some other values that people can use, but that's typically the one that we've been using because it's the easiest. But it works out to about $200 or $300 a tree in that. And so what we would do now that we have this kind of first inflection of kind of money into the urban forestry and lieu program, we would work with groups like Beautify Bonney Lake to be able to buy trees that they would then plant somewhere in the city. So we haven't got to that part yet because we literally just got the payment, I think, 2 days ago. So it's kind of a first time for us going through that. But so there's kind of different ways that we make sure that people are following the rules and mitigating for the impacts that they're causing.
Nope, sounds like we're on track with everything that I've ever dealt with in the last 5, 6 years. Yeah. So sorry if I'm boring other commissioners, but trees are true to my heart.
No, and what we did so that people can cut trees down on their property when they redevelop without triggering all that requirement is you do get retention credits that go toward replacement. So if you're retaining lots of big, exceptional trees on your property, you may not even have a replacement requirement because you're doing tree retention. So we've kind of trying to make it flexible that it still allows for development, and we're trying to target kind of the retention of the largest.
Yeah, I know City of Olympia based it on tree units based on DBH. And if you have so many tree units per your half acre or quarter acre or whatever it is, then you don't have to replant. So
yeah, similar concept.
Okay. Perfect.
So any more questions about the new website or any part of the tree board?
Oh,
No, personally, I'm really curious what's going to happen because all my food went bad and I just went grocery shopping and terrible. So,
That sucks.
Depending on your insurance, you can file a claim for your groceries to be replaced. Just an FYI.
cool. So what's next item on the agenda?
It's the hazard tree form. So one of the things that we did when we updated the urban forestry code is we do allow for hazard trees to be removed. But we did set some standards around that because what we were noticing is people walking and going, I have a hazard tree, and asking for it to be removed. So we did set some standards that required an arborist to come out and look at the tree and determine that it's actually a hazard tree and that the hazard is either high or exceptional. The reason we did that is because if you have a tree on your property, any tree is considered a low risk. And I know we have an arborist on board, and the way it's been explained to me, no arborist will ever sign a form that says there is no risk. It's a low risk. So we set the standard that you have to have a severe or high or extreme risk due to the tree, and there's a bunch of different things that go into making that determination, and that there's no mitigation measures that would lower that hazard. So for example, if you have a tree with a large branch broke off toward the top of the crown, that is a high risk situation, but you can resolve that risk by simply removing the branch out of the tree instead of cutting the tree down. So that's what we mean by mitigation measures. There's also cabling and some other things that they can consider, but we just have the track certified arborists do that. One of the challenges that we were having kind of implementing this program was property owners going, what do you want my arborist to fill out? We didn't have a real good kind of submittal process for it. So we developed this kind of tree risk assessment package, which kind of has some cover sheets so that we can document it. And then the arborist, ISA basic tree risk assessment form that gets attached to the back. They submit all that to the city. Once the arborist signs off on it, we don't really go out and challenge the arborist. The arborists have to have all the certification. So we're not really approving it. We're more documenting it, and we don't charge a fee for that because we're more interested in people following the process than putting up another roadblock by saying, we'll charge you a fee. I think when Mary was doing some research, Pierce County charges a couple $100 to just for people to apply to remove a hazard tree.
Yeah, I think it was around $300.
And so our decision was we were much more intention of protecting the tree canopy, which is a public good, but still wanting people to remove hazard trees without creating roadblocks. So once they have their arborist fill out this form, it gets emailed to us. And also the challenge we were having with staff aren't arborists. And so they're like, well, how do I interpret the tree risk assessment form to make sure that I'm good? And so this kind of creates a cover sheet that staff can look at. It also has some information because if you get into critical areas, it gets a little different. But it creates a way for the arborists to know what our requirements are, a way to document the situation, and also a way for staff to quickly see what's going on. Typically, our goal is to turn these around within 24 hours because you are dealing with a hazard. So the minute they come in, they're prioritized to the top of the list. We don't charge a fee. They just email them in. And the form will actually allow them to kind of do that. So we just wanted to bring this through knowing that we have an arborist on staff. We did engage a professional arborist to help us kind of develop this package and just kind of wanted to see if the Parks Commission had any issues, knowing that we have an arborist on the commission. So I just kind of wanted to kind of open it up to any questions or concerns.
Nope. Sounds good. Yeah.
I guess Ryan's kind of the professional at this one. The rest of us are kind of the, back seat here.
Yeah, that sounds good. I know I deal with City of Olympia and Kelly down there, he's in development and trees. And so if there's usually a risk that I've had to do on there, it's submit it, get it approved within a day and a half, and then good to go for removal. So, and there's Yeah, the only reason I think they charge for tree permits is if it's the regular one where it's, development kind of situations. But risk trees are just, here's your permit. So that would be the thing is, are you guys going to supply a permit for the removal then, if it's after the qualifications come in?
No, what we do once we get this information, we basically just respond back that says, yeah, we received it. You have met the standard for a hazard tree removal. Go remove your tree. Because we really didn't want to get into this as a permit as more as because it's an exemption. So we just basically want to document in the address file for two reasons. One, to document that there was a hazard and it was removed. And if anybody calls in and starts yelling that somebody is out there cutting down trees without permits, the property owner has documentation with the city that they went through the process, and we've documented that in their address folder. So it's kind of for both. So, or if someone's doing a review on their property 5 years from now and goes, why was all the trees clear cut off this property? There's documentation in the address file documenting that the trees were removed correctly and with a hazard tree assessment. It's important to note too, if you do a hazard tree, it meets the standard for a hazard tree. There's no replacement requirements. There's no any of those, except if you're in critical areas. And as I said, critical areas are different because it's both tree and the critical area. But for the most part, if you're outside of those critical areas, just working under the urban forestry code, there's no replacement type issues. In the critical areas, it gets a little different because we have to know that law standard, but we've documented kind of, if you're in those areas, please call us and we'll kind of walk you through kind of what you would have to do in those situations.
Nope, sounds good. Trees get old, they die, they are hazardous.
Yeah. Only other thing that we're looking at putting in the urban forestry code is some stuff about firewise. One of the things that we realized last year after the Sumner Grade fire was we really didn't have a good way for people just to remove the like if they had a tree right up next to their house that maybe not meets the full hazard standard. How do we let them kind of remove those trees without creating problems if we're trying to do firewise? So that's a code change that might be coming in the future. We're still working on how to implement that, but we would definitely bring that through the Parks Commission and the Planning Commission as we meet there.
More questions from the commission?
Nope.
I guess my last question would be is how do people find out what the cost of their permits are going to be? How do they know, these kind of things, ahead of time? How do they, growing up, I would have never thought of asking a city if I can cut down a tree in my yard.
I think part of it's, we have to do a better job using social media platform to get public education out there. But we wanted to make sure we had everything in place to do that. So I know one thing I'm going to have Mary do when we put this, that was part of one we wanted to do the web page. Once we put the web page out, roll that out in social media and say, hey, look, the city's updated its web page related to trees. If you have questions about trees, and then throughout the year, we just have to find ways to get public education out there. But most arborists know. Right. So if you're not doing it yourself, which can create fires and electrical outages, and they're using professionals, they typically, as Ryan said, this is pretty standard, but we do need to do a good job of educating the public. And that's why when we come across tree removal code violations, we do start working with the property owner to try to figure out what happened, because sometimes it could be an innocent, like I didn't know type thing. And also kind of, we don't regulate cottonwood and alder. So if someone goes and cuts down a 20-inch cottonwood, we're not even going to come in and say anything, because we've made the decision outside of critical areas that we're not going to regulate those trees because they spring up. So
yeah, those are nuisance trees.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we hear from arborists. They're like, you could literally have a field, walk away for 3 years, and have an alder forest. So we made the decision to not regulate alders and cottonwoods outside of critical areas. Critical areas get a little different, but for the most part, if you're outside that and you have an alder on your property and you just want to cut it down, we're not even going to say anything. But yeah, there is that public education piece, Carrie, that we have to do a good job at doing. I think we're getting better. We're not there yet.
And we
Um,
do, like if we're just driving around the city, like I last week was doing an inspection, heard the chainsaw in the distance and was like, here we go. So, we do go out and obviously I could have done code enforcement. I could have done all sorts of things, but it was someone who was just surprised, didn't know that the regulations even existed. I caught them right at the beginning and they were just like, holy smokes, like I had no idea. So a lot of times it is just sort of like an I didn't know, and we don't penalize those people. So I didn't serve that person a stop work. I said, listen, this is what I'm going to need you to do. And, we have a city cell phone. I can bring up their website right away. I click on the link to the permit application. I'm like, here you go. You could take a picture of this and I will issue your permit. Like, we're as flexible as we can be. And, Jason has really focused a lot on customer service. You'll hear me talk about that a lot. But, I'm allowed to make the site plan for a resident that just doesn't know how to use the computer so that we can make sure people are getting their permits and doing the right thing. So we do that quite a bit and we're pretty happy to do it. So we try to be really accessible. If you can think of other ways that we could complete outreach to educate citizens about that, we're happy to hear it. Jason and I definitely are trying very hard to be really accessible. So,
And
That's
COVID has
awesome.
put a big crink in some of our plans. Hopefully next year you'll see the planning staff at more of the tunes at taps and those types of events where we have informational booths. COVID kind of put a big hamper on all of that this year and last year.
Yep. Well, that's awesome. Thank you guys for the information. I appreciate knowing that because, yeah, I would say most people here don't have a clue that that kind of stuff exists.
so,
Pablo, can't hear you very well.
How long does the approval process take from the minute they apply, and everything that goes into it till they can actually cut down their tree?
For hazard trees, our goal is 24 hours.
Okay.
Because we understand it's a hazard and we don't want to hold people up in that. So if the only exception would be if you sue it to me on 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock on a Friday, it would probably be Monday morning. But if they submitted it and then took it down on Saturday, we would work with them on that. There is always extenuating circumstances, but for the most part, if it comes in, our goal is to have it turned around within 24 hours or less. I've already kind of tasked Mary with, as these come in, we just get them right back out the door. Because we're not going to challenge the arborist finding. So if you hire an arborist, the arborist has the appropriate certification, fills out the appropriate paperwork, where our assumption is the arborist is a professionally trained arborist, knows what they're doing, and we're going to accept their findings. We're not going to get into squabbling over, well, really you could do this one point over here and it wouldn't be a hazard. We're going to stay out of that type of debate.
and then for tree removal, right now we're at less than 14 days.
okay. So, yeah,
Okay.
that's good. So Mary, you can do a stop work though if necessary. Is that correct?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I was just thinking about structurally tree topping versus thinning and crown reduction.
Yes,
Is that
we have some really robust sections in the code about that. So that was something that was new in this urban forestry update, is that now tree topping is not allowed anywhere in the city of Bonney Lake. So that's been a little bit of a code adjustment, even for kind of like professional tree trimming companies to understand that we're just not going to allow topping really almost in any circumstance. But then we do provide some really clear examples, like what percentage of the crown can be thinned, and that it has to be balanced and all of those things so that we're not creating a hazard through the trimming.
And the code treats tree topping like tree removal. So if you top a tree, it's from the penalty and the replanting and the enforcement side, it's almost as if you removed the tree.
okay? And then so basically, if anybody sees anybody topping a tree, taking more than 20% of the crown they could call a city and somebody could go out and enforce and stop work.
Yeah, and we've done that before. And we are actually in the process of working on a large project with Sky Island because that's our biggest notorious area for tree topping, to develop a kind of community-wide um, tree maintenance plan that kind of goes through how they're going to maintain those trees to balance maintaining the tree, maintaining canopy, at the same time maintaining, kind of trying to strike a balance. And we're doing a program that for all of the tracks on Sky Island, so that when people want to do that type of work, the baseline work has already been done and it's a much quicker process.
Cool.
As I'm sitting here thinking about my own yard, do shrubs fall into trees? Okay, good, because I have shrubs that have to be removed.
And we don't consider arborvitae trees.
Okay, good.
So if you cut down a 30-foot tall arborvitae, we're not going to come out and do anything. We've kind of tweaked the definition of tree so that we're not spinning our wheels on that kind of, as Ryan knows, the genus definition of tree, because there's some things that get pulled into that, like arborvitaes, that we're like, yeah, or make people get permits to cut down arborvitaes. So we've kind of tweaked the definition a little bit of what we consider a tree.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
So next on the agenda,
For the good of the order, any correspondence?
None.
Staff comments. I do have one, and it's more of a request. We would like to move the park commission meetings to the third Wednesday of the month instead of the third Monday of the month. And the reason being is when Gary was here, Gary had Parks Commission and I had Design and Planning Commission. When Gary left, I picked up the Parks Commission, and Debbie actually has Parks, Design, Planning, and Arts Commission. So we would like to move all of our commissions to Wednesday night. The only commission that does not meet on Wednesday night is Parks Commission. So Planning Commission meets on the first Wednesday, Design meets on the second, and Art meets on the fourth. So we're hoping that that would be acceptable to the Parks Commission. I mean, ultimately we could, but I don't want to like just do it by fiat. But it's so that we can get packets done and kind of have a system to how we're doing this, because we do have a really small staff, and basically the three of us who are on this call are the ones staffing all the other commissions. And so by having them all on the same night, we kind of like, okay, we know this week we're working on parks this week. And it also allows us to take things to council the night before we have Parks Commission. So there were some reasons for that, but I just kind of wanted to open up to the Parks Commission and see how they felt about it.
well, I guess we can. Do you want to have a discussion or do you want to have a vote?
I would say have a discussion, because
Yeah.
the only problem that I have is I'm also on the Beautify Bonney Lake board, and Beautify Bonney Lake meets on Wednesdays. And some of ours are meeting in the mornings, and some of ours are in the evenings. Like right now, I'm missing our Beautify Bonney Lake board meeting because it's at the same exact time. So that would be the only complication for me.
Is there, I guess, do you guys meet every week or every like third Wednesday of the month?
We right now we're meeting every week because it's almost, Beautify Bonney Lake is this weekend. And then the rest of the year we start in February or March. But we do those ones twice a month, so I can talk to them about, figuring out how to coordinate that. But then they would just be the ones that are right before Beautify Bonney Lake, the last month and a half, as we meet every week.
So right now, with Beautify Bonney Lake being this weekend, I think we could move forward for the next few months on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably have a discussion on in February or right before February.
Yeah, and I can, like I said, I can talk to BBL. We can try and see if we can make them on opposite weeks, maybe, second and fourth or something like that instead of, not on the third week or something like that. So um, I might have a little pull considering I have three of our city council members on the board. We might be like, hey guys, let's push.
Yeah, it would just really help us to kind of like keep things rolling.
Yeah.
Well, not only you guys, I think it would help the public too to know that there's Wednesdays there's meetings in the evenings. There's Tuesdays council. Wednesday there's going to be a design art or a park commission meeting. So I think it'd be for continuity of the public. I would love to have it on the same day every week.
So unless there's any objection, would we be okay for at least October to move it would be October 18th to October 20th?
Well, I think just bundle it October, just for planning purposes, October or next 3 months,
October, November,
December, till the end of the
we
year.
really wouldn't probably have a meeting in December just because we typically don't have meetings that late in December, even if it was on Monday or Wednesday, because we're typically not having meetings that late in December.
Yeah.
But we can, if there's an emergent issue, but we'll move all three to that third Wednesday in December.
Well, included three to include January, but yeah. So until the end of the year, does Wednesday work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works great for me.
All right. Do I got a
Yep.
motion?
I will motion to move Parks Commission meetings to the third Wednesday of the month through the end of December for now.
And a second?
Seconded.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Cool.
Thank you so much. And we do have, last note, we do have one more application for another Parks Commissioner. I'm reviewing that right now, and hopefully we'll have a fifth Parks Commissioner by the time that we meet again.
That would be amazing.
Is there outreach to the high school right now?
We were going to do that as part of this. I was going to, when we sent this letter, send kind of another letter in there saying that we're also looking for a person from the high school to sit on the Parks Commission. So just mail that one to the high school.
Awesome.
Cool. Is there any more discussion?
If you get any great pictures from Beautify Bonney Lake this weekend, feel free to use me as your source to funnel them into our public information officer. I promise to do you right.
Awesome. Oh, trust me, I take the time. And my Girl Scout troop is sprucing up the senior center. That's our project every year. We're actually redoing their sign out front and repainting stuff around there and making it look all pretty again.
You're just really doing a lot for my soul right now. That sounds wonderful.
We love the seniors and the senior centers, so we do a lot of projects there.
Cool. Is there any more items of the agenda?
Just see if there's any commissioner comments.
Any commissioner comments?
Nope.
Nope.
Not here.
All right, we are then to the adjournment of your agenda.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Well, yeah. Let's see if we can get the email thing fixed out offline during the week, so we're ready to go next week, including myself. So,
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks for everything. And if you need any help, make sure you call Chuck. He'll get you squared away.
All right.
Okay,
Will do.
sounds good.
All right.
See you guys.
Later.
Later. Bye.
Bye.